President Donald Trump has not held a wide-ranging news conference since February, instead choosing to keep his media interactions limited to hand-picked interviews and short, four-question news conferences with foreign leaders. But overnight, as he flew from Washington to Paris, Trump sat with reporters and held a roughly hour-long conversation. The reporters on the plane had been told it was off the record, and that's how it was conveyed to the larger White House press pool. But during a photo spray with French President Emmanuel Macron on Thursday, New York Times reporter Maggie Haberman asked a question which had apparently been asked during the flight. POTUS asked your pooler why she didn't use what he has said last night. Your pooler reminded him last night was off the record. POTUS asked if I had heard him say it could be on record. Your pooler replied truthfully no. Co-poolers also were not under impression it was on record, since White House Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Sanders had declared it off record, Haberman wrote in her pool report. Presidents will often hold conversations with reporters aboard Air Force One, and it's not uncommon for them to be off the record. However, Trump is known to change his mind and make a previously off-the-record conversation on the record. In an Oval Office meeting with Politico reporters in April, one aide said the chat was off the record, but Trump insisted, over objections from nervous-looking staffers, that he be quoted. At a reception for conservative media in April, Trump turned the evening into an impromptu news conference, leading to some complaints among some of the reporters who were not prepared. As the pool was leaving the photo spray, Trump and White House economic advisor Gary Cohn called Haberman back to tell her the communications shop would put most of the off-the-record conversation on the record. But Sanders later told her that excerpts will be released. Not all reporters were pleased with that explanation. If the president speaks to reporters off the record, and then puts parts of it on the record, we're essentially giving him quote approval, tweeted Gregory Court, White House correspondent for USA Today. I've never been a huge critic of quote approval. It's better than on background and ensures accuracy. I'm uncomfortable with it from POTUS. Even if 99% is on the record, I'd want to hear a pretty good argument about why the 1% can't also be on the record. If White House puts out excerpts, it means they've put it all on record. Up to those reporters attempting to put entire report on record now, tweeted Meet the Press host Chuck Todd. A couple hours after Trump asked for the conversation to be put on record, the White House released some excerpts. But they did not include two portions the pool had requested, which Haberman later provided separately to the email list. Haberman initially said in a pool report that Sanders was going around the AF1 traveling pool, by not answering the requests and sending the transcript out via the supplemental pool. But in a follow-up tweet, Haberman wrote that it was a miscommunication. Apologies to Sanders 45 for miscommunication among ourselves that she got tagged within a pool report as doing an end run. She did not, Haberman wrote. Sanders did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Trump may slap both quotas and tariffs on steel. President Donald Trump told reporters Wednesday night that he may slap quotas and tariffs on steel, according to a newly released transcript of a previously off-the-record conversation on his way to Paris for meetings. Steel is a big problem, Trump said on board Air Force One. I mean, they're dumping steel. Not only China, but others. We're like a dumping ground, okay? They're dumping steel and destroying our steel industry. They've been doing it for decades, and I'm stopping it. It'll stop. Asked how he would do that, Trump replied, there are two ways, quotas and tariffs. Maybe I'll do both. The exchange came as the Commerce Department is preparing to make its recommendation in two separate investigations into whether it is necessary to restrict steel and aluminum imports in order to protect national security. The probes have raised worries about a damaging trade war that could expose U.S. exports to retaliation. It has also led to concerns about price increases for domestic steel users, such as the auto and oil and gas industries. In a related vein, Trump again voiced his determination to rein in trade deficits with China and South Korea, which he blamed on horrible trade deals negotiated by previous administrations. He also repeated the idea of using trade as leverage to get more cooperation with China on North Korea. "The biggest strength we have are these horrendous trade deals, like with China," Trump said. "That's our strength. But we're going to fix them. But in terms of North Korea, our strength is trade." Trump dodges on Russia sanctions. President Donald Trump sent mixed signals about U.S. sanctions against Russia in a conversation with reporters released by the White House on Thursday. Trump's comments came as the House struggles for a way forward on a Russia sanctions bill that cleared the Senate with 98 votes last month. Trump sidestepped a question about whether he would sign the new sanctions package if it reaches his desk, but declared his support for existing penalties against Moscow. "We have very heavy sanctions on Russia right now," Trump told reporters on Air Force One in what was originally an off-the-record conversation Wednesday night, according to excerpts released by the White House. "I would not and have never even thought about taking them off. Somebody said, Donald Trump wants to, I don't want to take them off." But Trump also confirmed that he and Russian President Vladimir Putin discussed the pending congressional sanctions legislation during their meeting last week at the G20 summit in Germany, and left open the door to easing sanctions if his administration could gain something from Putin in the process. "I would never take the sanctions off until something is worked out to our satisfaction and everybody's satisfaction in Syria and in Ukraine," Trump said, adding later, "I've made great deals. That's what I do. Why would I take sanctions off without getting anything?" The White House has publicly endorsed the current sanctions regime against Russia, and Legislative Affairs Director Mark Short said this week that the administration supports the new penalties in the bipartisan Senate-passed bill. But Short also confirmed that the White House is lobbying Republicans to change parts of the Senate's sanctions bill that would make it more difficult for Trump to roll back or end sanctions against Moscow. And the State Department has confirmed ongoing discussions about Moscow's demand for the return of 2 diplomatic compounds seized by the Obama administration in December in response to U.S. intelligence agencies' conclusion that Russia conducted a broad campaign to disrupt the election on Trump's behalf. The Senate-passed sanctions bill would prevent Trump from returning the compounds without congressional consent. Deputy Assistant to the President Sebastian Gorka said Thursday that Trump is considering giving Russia back the compounds, which the Obama administration had connected to spying, because we want to give cooperation a chance. "We may not share the same philosophy, we may not share the same type of view of the world, but the fact is there are some issues of common concern," Gorka told CNN. The Senate Foreign Relations Committee's top Democrat, Maryland Senator Ben Cardin, warned during a committee hearing Thursday that we would consider that a major affront to Congress if action was taken on returning the seized compounds to Russia before consulting with lawmakers. White negotiations continue in the House about how to push the sanctions bill past a procedural dispute. Oil and gas companies as well as other private sector players are raising concerns to lawmakers about language in the legislation that might restrict their ability to do business with Russia-connected entities. However, another influential K Street presence, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, is pressing for quick action on the bipartisan Iran sanctions bill to which the Russia penalties are attached. "We strongly support the earliest possible House consideration and passage of Iran sanctions legislation," IPAC spokesman Marshall Wyman said. Trump Democrats overplayed their hand on the Russia thing. President Donald Trump told reporters overnight that Democrats had overplayed their hand on what he called the Russia thing, saying the American people don't believe the accusations against him. "It's a witch hunt and they understand that," Trump said in a gaggle with reporters en route to Paris on Air Force One, according to a pool report released Thursday. "When they say treason, you know what treason is. That's Julius and Ethel Rosenberg for giving the atomic bomb, okay?" Trump denies that his campaign colluded with the Russian government's attempts to interfere in the 2016 presidential election, and he has continued to deny any improper conduct in the wake of revelations that his son Donald Trump Jr. met with a Kremlin-linked lawyer last year seeking dirt on Hillary Clinton. Since details of that meeting surfaced last weekend, A few Democrats, including Clinton's running mate, Senator Tim Kaine, have questioned if Trump Jr.'s behavior might qualify as treasonous. The Justice Department is investigating whether any Trump campaign associate colluded with Russia on the election interference effort, which included hacks of Democratic Party officials' emails. Trump told reporters on Air Force One that he has heard and read that the Democrats are making a big mistake by focusing their attention on the Russia story. My people and the people that support me, who are incredible people, those people are angry because they feel it's being unfair and a witch hunt, Trump said. Trump healthcare is only thing more difficult than Middle East peace. President Donald Trump sees getting a healthcare bill through Congress as the only thing harder than achieving peace in the Middle East, he told reporters on Air Force One on the way to France overnight. We have a thing called healthcare. I'm sure you haven't been reading about it too much, Trump said, according to excerpts of the mid-flight conversation that were released on Thursday. I'd say the only thing more difficult than peace between Israel and the Palestinians is healthcare. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell rolled out the latest version of the Senate's healthcare bill earlier Thursday. The latest version of the bill met with opposition from moderates, leading experts to believe the bill is on life support and just one vote shy of failure. Trump evoked another image to convey the difficulty in appeasing conservatives and moderates. It's like this narrow road that's about 1/4 of an inch wide, Trump said. You get a couple here and you say, great, and then you find out you just lost 4 over here. Healthcare is tough, the president